Howdy once again, is Tubalcain, your YouTube shop teacher, and this time with episode number 27 of my This and That series, and I have quite a few things to show you as well as a bunch of viewer appreciation gifts, so stand by. But before I start, let me preview something here that I have a video coming up very soon. It'll be 8 or 10 parts on the building of this little Stewart engine, which at this point is about 60% completed. So I'm working on that as of today, so watch for that if you're interested in steam engines. Also, if you have not seen it already, and about 20,000 have, watch my recent video with A-Bomb 79, Adam Booth, down in Pensacola, and what a great time I had, and what a great man, and how much fun and enjoyable that trip was. Well, recently I had somebody ask me about layout, and they said, you don't cover much layout or talk about it, and really my layout, I think, is just I'm showing you what I'm doing, but I'm not talking about the basics of it, although I hope I cover some of that. And then somebody said, how can I find out about layout? Well, there are so many books that cover it, but then again, it's such a broad topic. How do you cover it? But in these books here, they cover the different tools to use and some of the techniques that may help you in this original Starrett book. That has some pages on that. Here is a Navy training course that I came across. I guess I can't show you that. It's restricted. But there's information about layout there, and this is all beginning stuff, because remember, those sailors that went into training were 17 or 18 years old, and there's some good stuff in there about layout and the different layout tools. So if you can get a hold of a copy of that. Now, there were many textbooks that I used, and this is a real old one that was my dad, but that covered layout. There's a whole chapter on it, the different tools and techniques. So, you know, get a hold of something like that. And I used to teach what was called general metals or metal working, and all of those textbooks covered that, as well as the machine shop book. So check that all out, and I think you'll find information, and continue to watch my videos as I talk about that. And then in a recent video I did, and that's video number 273, tips 273, on copper sulfate layout fluid. And I made a batch of it, and I don't know, I just got so many funny comments on that, you know, they say, well, don't, you know, you can get copper sulfate downtown. Well, I went downtown yesterday, and yes, you can get it. It's 99% pure. It's a root killer for your septic tank and your sewers, but you got to buy a huge container of it for $15. So why would you do that when you got this? You can send away, and that's a 10-year supply, and it's a 50-year supply at the box store. And then also a lot of information about acid, saying, well, can I use this? Can I? No, just use some battery acid. Everybody has a battery. But don't use too much, because, and this was funny, I came down the second day, or it might have been the third day, after doing that video, and here was my brush in two pieces laying at the bottom. Or not laying at the bottom, it had separated and laid about like that. So that's tin-plated steel. I don't know what gauge, admittedly it's quite thin, but that weak acid ate through that in, let's say, 2 days. That was kind of surprising. So we do have to be careful with acids, and I tried to emphasize that, and then some people say, oh yeah, it'll kill you, and the next person says, oh, it can't hurt you. So I get so many mixed reactions, but I maintain that you need to be careful with acids and keep it away from children. So that's enough on my copper sulfate. Pardon me. So go back and watch number 273 if you haven't seen that. I thought it was interesting, but you know, right away they say, well, why would you use that? Why don't you use a magic marker, a Sharpie? Well, I do. I use this a lot of times, as does everybody. But this was so obvious I almost didn't mention it. But I did talk about Dicom dyes as well. All right, enough of that rant. In many videos I talk about Bounty towels, how much I love them and how handy they are around the workshop, and then I was lamenting that it's hard to find the ones that are so-called half sheets, and then somebody gave me an email and they said, well, you fool, just take your roll and cut it in half on the bandsaw, which of course I did with a wood cutting bandsaw, which took about 2 seconds, and there I have pieces that are just the right size without wasting them. And I do like my Bounty towels. They are the quicker picker-upper, you know. I have mentioned Henleys Formulas before, and they've printed this book for forever, probably for 70 years or more, and I don't know what edition this is, but you're going to find many interesting things in there on in different formulas, how to make things. So get yourself a copy of that. This is a 1982 issue, I think bought for $5 at a used bookstore, it looks like right there. But that's a neat thing. The only thing is that 90% of what they show to make in here is made with chemicals that are difficult to find. And you know, you used to be able to get that stuff at the drugstore, but now all they want to sell at Walgreens is novelty items on their end caps and junk like that. So you're not going to find it at a drugstore anymore. We used to buy potassium nitrate at the drugstore, at Mal's drugstore when we were kids, and we would buy him out of it. He would wonder, what are you kids doing with all that potassium nitrate? We're about 12 years old. Well, we're making gunpowder. That formula, I think, is not in here, or I hope it's not. You know what, I got to rant a little bit here, and some of you like my ranting and some absolutely hate it, and I suppose are turning this off right this minute because of that. But I was recently in Nashville. I went to the Grand Ole Opry, but they ran us all through metal detectors. I was shocked. I came on a tour bus, so they wouldn't let me through, so they said, you can't take this. So I went back to the bus, which was less than 100 yards away. But I am just mortified at the freedoms we're losing, and that's not the government, as some crazy guy at the Grand Ole Opry is doing that, you know, that I can't bring that in there. But the funny thing is, when I got back on the bus 2.5 hours later, I picked this up. The driver had it there in his cup holder, and then another passenger was watching me do that, and he said, yeah, I was behind you when you went through the metal detector, and I had my knife on me too. And you know what I did? I backed up a little bit into the area that's landscaped, and there was a big stone there, and he said, I lifted it up, and I thought, I'll just hide it there, and then I'll pick it up after the show. And he said, when he lifted the stone, there was already another knife under there, but it was quite rusty. Drum roll. Thanks to all of you that are sending me gifts and ideas and donations to my channel. It helps finance some of the crazy things that I do. But one of the videos called How Does It Work, and I forgot what number it is, I showed how the rear hub of a coaster brake works, and many people watched that and liked that video. It was particularly popular. But my buddy Ole in California, and you all know him because he is the great guy that makes the drawings for me, he said, how about a hub, a geared hub? Are you interested in that and taking it apart? So he sent this to me. Thank you, Ole. And this appears to be a 5-speed hub. I've never had one apart. I had a 3-speed hub when I was a boy, but the shifter here, this is brand new. I thought he was going to send me an old one. So it must be a 5-speed, and here's the cable and the hardware. But one of the upcoming videos, when I get time, if I ever get time, will hopefully be to cut this open and examine the gears and how they get 5 speeds in there. This is a very, very heavy hub. I'm amazed. Let me put it on the scale here and I'll tell you what it weighs. It weighs 3.5 pounds. I've been talking about this for a while, but I've got a several part video, I think it's about 5 parts or so, on how to make this height gauge. So watch for that. I'm going to release that within a day or two of the release of this and that video. So some of you may be interested in that. Now, Ed Young, a man from Westmont, Illinois, has been so good to me, and he's sent me gifts before. He's the one that sent me the Simpson meter, if you remember that. But in this latest care package that he sent me is a set of German woodworking bits, some used, some brand new. Bormax, they're called. Thank you, Ed, ever so much for this stuff. Here's an old set. He goes to garage sales and sales, kind of like I do. Here's a set of draftsman's tools from Germany. Probably never used them, but I am a T-square man, you know. There's a piece of 3/4 key stock. Here's a bunch of nice most of them brand new, not all of them, drill bits, but the neat thing is they're all metric, you know, and I have very few metric items. Well, there's some more. And a metric countersink, rim shot. A box of capacitors. You know, every once in a while I needed a capacitor when I was making those little electronic engines or electric engines, and there's 90 pieces in there. And in this box, unmarked, plain wrapper. I don't know what all this stuff is, but there's just a selection there of electronic parts. There's a little motor, a little speaker. Somebody must have taken something apart. But there's all the doodads and resistors and things, so sooner or later I might make use of that, although I'm not a real electronics man as such. And then, oh, there's a nice soldering iron, small one, soldering pencil perhaps, with a real cord on it, heavy duty. Now, let me show you, that was quite a large box that he sent. Let me show you the books. Do not turn this video off. My grand finale here is going to be opening this big box that I haven't opened yet either. I do know what's in there. So Ed also sent me a bunch of books. He said he bought a large box of books. So there's Lindsay's reprint, Lathe Handbook number 1. This is the Gingrey book, and I believe Lindsay sold those too, on the milling machine. Good book on one of my heroes, Thomas Edison. There's always some great pictures. And then, of all things, there's a Starrett catalog. Now, that's a 2014, and I didn't know that Starrett had gone to the large format because the latest catalog I had was 99, so I think that he saw that and he thought, you know, tubalcain's got to have an up-to-date catalog. And take a look at the video tour that John Saunders made of going through the Starrett factory. I was so jealous of that. I would love to get out to Athol, Massachusetts, but he had a complete tour of the factory. And then here's a notebook that has, it must be a student notebook because there's projects and other things in here regarding machine shop and metalworking out of Connecticut, so I might get some good ideas. I'm always looking for ideas. I received this package yesterday from Bob Kern out of San Diego, California. Thank you, Bob, ever so much. And there's a Stirling engine in here. It's a parts engine, but I'm going to open this up right now. But this was sent priority, and he paid $26 to send that. $27. And I am so disappointed in the post office, and I got criticized the last time I criticized the post office, but this box actually looks like it went through a tumbling barrel with hundreds of other packages. There's a hole, and I feel some metal there. I don't think anything's going to be damaged, but I mean, there's just no surface on this that has not been mangled. And shame on you. Look at this hole. Shame on you. Now, granted, these boxes are incredibly thin. These free boxes, but you know, I don't generally receive packages that bad from UPS or FedEx, and I do get a lot of packages from them. So anyway, and I'm not going to apologize for saying what I just said because it's been a pattern with them. So let me open this, if I may. Alright. Well, it's well packed. And luckily he did because of the... Alright, let me clear that off. Bob said that his wife does all the packing, and boy, what a marvelous job she did, because I think she probably shipped by the the post office before, and knows how they treat the packages, so she covered for them. Used an extra large box, that's what costs so much. This is a Empire brand hot air engine. I could use the term Stirling, Stirling cycle. Bob is a collector of Empire engines, and as you know, they made a complete line of electric engines. They were made in Wisconsin, in the 20s, 30s, and 40s, I think, and I have about 4 or 5 of them myself. But mainly they made steam engines in different configurations. I wasn't even aware that they made a hot air engine. They also make a turbine engine. Those were very rare. I don't think small boys would be interested in this one for 2 reasons. One is that once you start it, there's nothing to do to it. There's no tending necessary. So a child would become bored very quickly. He's not going to take an electric motor, plug it in, and sit there and watch it. So that's what that would amount to. But Bob said these were sometimes used in the store displays because they could run them all day long in the window, back when we had picture windows, and without tending them because they were heated electrically. So what we have missing here is the heating element and the displacer. So whether or not I can repair this, I don't know. I hope I can make some parts. I did get the patent drawings. I meant to have them here to show to you, but there are patent drawings for this that help me get an idea of what it looks like. And Bob also sent the in an email many pictures of his that are in good condition and what they look like. So this is interesting, and I am going to try to repair it and get it running without an electric element, but probably a flame of some kind. But this is it's very heavy, very heavy. So thank you, Bob, out in San Diego, and that concludes this edition of This and That. I hope you liked it. Be sure and watch my 850 other videos. I have a lot of stuff coming. Please leave a comment, please subscribe, and I'll see you in my next video.